Very brief. This is around events. Now, will you be sending through at least a report around how and what we achieved, and I'm talking about the down NRL 9s, because I know that $23 million are already in the Auckland economy as a result of the first 3 years, and that achievement is 80% of the 5-year plan. So will we be getting something not only on that, but other events around what has been achieved, even though it may have been X amount in the beginning, and this is what we've achieved? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. We've just recently completed a piece of work looking at the portfolio performance of events, sort of the next level of our analysis. And in fact, I shared some of that with the Mayor yesterday when we were talking about events. So I'd like to bring that to this committee.
Cool.
It shows the return we're getting from investment across our event portfolio. Of course, we manage it as a portfolio, and one of our challenges, of course, is we've got World Masters Games and Lions Tour and Rugby League World Cup and the Nines next year. But what does the future look like? And again, a little bit like that, the Auckland story. What do we want to be famous for? What are the events do we want to be famous for? Is it a FIFA World Cup, or is it an event that actually speaks to our real sense of identity as a city?
Okay. So yes, it will be coming back.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Filipaina. And Councillor Member Wilcox.
Yes, I'll be quick, Madam Chair. I just want to know what's the interconnectedness that ATED has with our other CCOs, and are you able to influence them? And I'm thinking particularly in the youth space of Comet, but also of other CCOs as well. Thank you.
Hopefully a very brief answer, and that is an ongoing piece of work. Thanks.
Yes, we are working with the rest of the Auckland Council family, but we always look to continue to do better in that area.
Kia ora. Thank you. I'd like to move that we thank ATED and our presenters most warmly for their Councillor Filipaina, you're happy to second. I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. And I look forward to a pretty regular and ongoing set of discussions. Thank you for your time. And moving on to RFA. And I'd like to welcome particularly our Chair of RFA, Sidon, and CEO Chris Brooks, and wider team. I do apologise, sorry, I seem to have sort of picked up a cold that has suddenly made itself known, so I apologise for being a bit unpleasant. Handing over to you, warm welcome, Sidon, lovely to see you.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and it's good to be here, and our congratulations to all those that have been re-elected and elected. Being elected sure beats not being elected. So I wish you well in your term of office here during that time. Glad to talk a little bit about RFA, obviously, because you are our shareholder. You are the people that we clearly wish to satisfy in what we were doing. Maybe you might get ecstatic about some of the things we're doing, but really we want you to be well informed that our role of optimising the facilities that we have responsibility for is our principal raison d'etre. All the facilities may not have an intimate relationship with each other, but they all fall into this one family, and our responsibility as the governing body is to ensure that the ratepayers' investment in these facilities does bring a good return to the people of Auckland. As I said, they are a mixed bunch, and so much so that the brand names they all have are something we don't wish to suppress. For us, the Auckland Zoo is the Auckland Zoo, not the RFA Auckland Zoo, or the Art Gallery is still the Art Gallery, not the RFA Auckland Art Gallery. And we want to keep it that way because these particular brands are what we do wish to continue to support, as our role is to optimise the use of these facilities. And those that may have been to the Coldplay concert at Mount Smart on Saturday night, 50% of that audience came from outside of Auckland. And we have to continue pursuing that portion of the New Zealand audience, not just the Auckland audience, whether it be at Mount Smart, Western Springs, the Art Gallery, the Zoo, or anywhere else. The outside people who come to Auckland, we want to make sure they have a good experience coming to Auckland, and we'll talk about it and we'll come back again. We're very lucky this year, of course, we have a large number of concerts at Mount Smart, and that is good for Auckland. It's good for New Zealand. But you may remember only 3 years ago, we didn't have one good concert at Mount Smart, and that's just the cycle of activities as we see it at the time. So I want you to know that any one of our board, we are quite a large board, but it's a very outward-looking board. You're welcome to approach any board member at any time if you want some background information, or of course our executive officers, which are here with me. So given everything else happening, I think it's more appropriate for me to hand over to Chris Brooks, who will go through with a little more detail some of the things we're doing to show you that, yes, we have a long-term plan, a medium-term plan, an annual plan, a strategic plan, and a statement of intent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Sidon. Chris.
Thanks, Sidon, and good morning, Madam Chair. I do have a presentation, I'm sorry, but I'll step through it pretty quickly. Just going to touch on this morning about who we are, what we do, our business model, our finances, our capital program, briefly on the stadium development strategy, our future, and then happy to take some questions. Just from a quick snapshot of the RFA, we do have 10 landmark Auckland venues, and we have about 4 million visitors or customers or fans that visit those venues during the year. We run 5 distinct businesses, and we generate actually 65% of our revenue on a commercial basis. And since 2010, we've been able to increase that commercial revenue by about 25%. And during that same period, the funding from council has reduced by 6.9 million. During the course of any 1 year, across our venues, we run between 3,000 and 3,500 events. How we actually decide what we do and how it fits together cascades down from the Auckland plan to the long-term plan, statement of intent, to our own strategic plan, individual business plans across the business units, and then team plans within those units. We report to the board and clearly to council on a quarterly basis against our performance from an SOI perspective and also against our strategic plan. So our business model is very much focused on providing public good outcomes, but doing that from a commercial basis. I look at RFA as an organisation that actually makes a contribution to the economic growth of the city and also enhances the social capital of the city in terms of what we do. A good example, I think, is we've added a couple of venues to our team over the last 5 years, taking in the Bruce Mason Centre. And just with some additional investment into the Bruce Mason Centre and the opportunity to put some of the activities of the business units in there, we've managed to reduce that facility from an operating loss to almost to a break-even situation. We've also been able to establish strong relations and be able to demonstrate credibility now with a whole range of promoters and investors in terms of bringing activities into Auckland. And that enables us to make sure that Auckland's at the forefront of their thinking when they start to plan their concert tours or their promoter tours. In terms of our venues, the general thrust that we take when we get to either concerts or promoters coming to town is to negotiate an upfront venue fee, and then we'll probably take some share of risk around growth in that activity at the venue and the F&B component that exists around any activity around that. So if I look back at last year, based on the 3 concerts that we had at Mount Smart, based on Ed Sheeran and 2 Fleetwood Mac concerts, we actually generated $17 million of activity to the Auckland economy. I think one of the other important things that we do, particularly at the gallery and also at the zoo, is the education programs that we run for children, and we attracted more than 250,000 children into those facilities during the last year. We get great support from our volunteers at both the zoo and the gallery, and 41,000 hours of support from volunteers that just add to the customer experience that we deliver to the people that visit those 2 facilities. If I can turn now to our venues, the Auckland Art Gallery, of course, has the largest collection of art, and that art is available to be viewed online. And just recently, last week, we now have the Auckland Gallery art shop online. So if you're looking for Christmas shopping opportunities, there's a good way of doing that through our online program. We've got the amazing Lindar exhibition happening in the gallery at the moment, and there's been just an incredible number of visitors that have been just overawed by the artwork that comes from the Lindar exhibition. We're also looking across the gallery at how we can sort of address more of the multicultural issues that are across the city. We've had a South American exhibition, we've had a Chinese exhibition, and we've had an Indian exhibition over the last years. Of course, I've also had The Pursuit of Venus, and Lisa Reinhardt will be appearing as the New Zealand representative at the Venice Biennale next year. I think one of the other important things is that we've got an amazing exhibition opening early next year about nudes, which is currently on show in Sydney, which we've done in conjunction with the Tate. That exhibition will be known as Bodies Laid Bare. It will be a paid exhibition, and really look forward to that opening in March of 2017. From a conventions perspective, we actually operate the largest convention business currently within New Zealand. And the great advantage that we've got with our number of venues, that we can actually have the convention business deliver events across all our venues. So if a client comes and wants to have an event at the Viaduct Event Centre, we can offer them a function in the gallery, we can offer them a function at the zoo. And that's a great choice that we can offer to our convention clients. Purely as a commercial business, the convention business runs, but for instance on Christmas Day this year we will be hosting for the 6th time the City Mission luncheon down at the Viaduct Event Centre, which our staff volunteer and work on for the day. Auckland Live, which is again our largest performing and entertainment organisation within New Zealand. And we attract events such as Cats, Netherlands Dance, and of course we've got David Attenborough attending into New Zealand early next year. And what we try and do from a programming aspect is look at opportunities to give the people of Auckland the greatest experience across the whole arts and cultural community. We work with promoters to bring these products to our venues, and we again look at the opportunity as to how we can actually make as maximum margin on these venues that we have. In some events we take on, we know there's an element of risk in terms of some of the events that we bring here, but we again look at it on a commercial basis and try and work out how we reduce that risk in order that we can make a positive return from every event we run. If I can encourage you at some time to sort of visit Summer in the Square, which we opened in Aotea Square last week, that will run through to the end of February. It's a free event with entertainment happening every day, and of course the highlight of that is the Lego Christmas tree. Auckland Stadiums, we run 3 stadiums, Mount Smart, QBE and Western Springs, and across those stadiums we've got a mix of professional sports, amateur sports and community groups that use our stadiums on a regular basis. And clearly those stadiums are also used, as Sir Don mentioned, for our concerts and our festivals. We've got a bumper concert season coming up. Clearly the Coldplay's concert last week was a great success. But with the other concerts that we've got planned this year, we'll have approximately 280,000 people that will attend Mount Smart and Western Springs for the concerts between now and the end of March. The Auckland Zoo, we get incredible feedback about the Auckland Zoo, and for a zoo that's 90 years old, it's starting to go through a significant change with the capital program that we've got in place. We opened African Savannah this year, and we had 70-odd thousand visitors through that in the month following its opening. We're about to open another new exhibition later this month called Australia 2. And then towards the middle of next year, we'll start on a really major development called Southeast Asia, which will be a major component of change in the zoo over the next few years. Just a map in terms of our venues, I think probably most of you know where all they are, but a great cluster around the city centre, the Mount Smart Stadium, the Western Springs precinct where Auckland Zoo and Western Springs is, Vector Arena and ANZ Viaduct Event Centre on the waterfront, and then the Bruce Mason Centre and QBE on the North Shore. We also undertake a regional role as well. We provide advice to Council on the levy setting and the appointment of directors for both the Auckland Museum and MOTAT. And we also provide management advice and and support capital funding for the following areas I've listed there: the Trust Arena, Vodafone Events Centre, North Shore Events, Stardome and New Zealand Maritime Museum.